What is up, everyone? Happy Football Friday. A little bit, um, earlier than we usually do it. Got some family plans this tonight, so I'll be on here for a little bit, just talking some football on this Good Friday. Hopefully, one of my friends, Zona J, will be coming on shortly. Prominent betting community member there. But let's get it started here. XFL week 8. And we have our AFC South mock draft at the end of this as well. So getting it started. One note from college football. Big news. The Minnesota running back Trey Potts has figured out where he is transferring to. It is intra-conference. He is transferring to Penn State. So Penn State now has a crazy running back room. Nick Singleton, Katron Allen, and now Trey Potts, who's been 1,000-yard back at Minnesota before. Three-headed monster now for Drew Aller, new starting quarterback for Penn State this year. Really excited about that offense. The offensive line should be good. I think they're going to be fantastic. It's just, can we replace the defensive starters? And I think Penn State is a contender this year for sure. Dark horse, CFP contender, I think. And, of course, in the Big Ten, as always. Moving on to NFL news, the Chargers have granted running back Austin Eckler, permission to seek a trade. This coming after they were unable to find their own trade partner. But, I think I don't think anything's going to get finished. I don't think Austin Eckler is going to get traded at all. $6.25 million is a lot to pay a running back in this day and age. And for a guy who has missed some games and also is not necessarily considered a top back, I think anyways, I think it's going to be hard to work out what the Chargers value him at, what he values himself at, and what another team values him at in terms of draft pick compensation and salary. So I don't think he's going to get moved, whether his agent can find something suitable for LA or not. We will see. But draft night is always a deadline for a lot of these kinds of things. We will see on draft night if Eckler is moved by then. Staying in the AFC, Dolphins wide receiver Tyreek Hill. He announced he is retiring after this contract that he's currently on with Miami. He is currently signed through 2025. So he'd be just 31 years old when he retires. That's tough. That is going to be one of those what if scenarios, I think, anyways. I understand it's 10 years in the NFL, but 31 years old for a wide receiver is not that old. And I think he could still play another, 4 years after that, probably, maybe more. So we will see when we get there, but a couple more years yet of Tyreek Hill at the very least. Enjoy them while you can. The Patriots, they are inducting offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia into their Hall of Fame. He will receive his red jacket this fall. Legendary coach, one of the best offensive line coaches, maybe the best of all time. Really solid presence throughout the Patriots dynasty, and will be recognized for that achievement coming up in this season. We had a retirement for a longtime player this week. Jaguars defensive tackle Corey Peters has retired. Really solid 12-year career. Falcons picked him in the third round, number 83 overall in the 2010 draft. Played with the Falcons from 2010 to 2014. Signed with the Cardinals, played with them from 2015 to 2021, and then with the Jaguars last year. 164 career games, 135 starts, 336 tackles. 214 of them were solo tackles. 19 sacks, all of this in the regular season, of course. 40 quarterback hits, 10 pass deflections, 1 forced fumble, 3 fumble recoveries, a fumble returned for a touchdown, 1 interception, and 1 safety. All of that in the regular season. In the playoffs, he did play a decent amount in the playoffs. 7 games, all of them starts. 16 tackles, 11 of them solos, 4 tackles for loss, 1 sack, 2 QB hits, and 1 pass deflection. So great career, Corey Peters. One of the more underrated defensive tackles throughout the league. Never had the sack numbers, but also a great run stuffer and a good locker room guy as well. So congrats, Corey, on the retirement there. As I mentioned on Tuesday, we are in draft visit tracker season. So let's start off with the Kansas City Chiefs. They hosted TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston. The Cowboys did the same and also hosted his teammate, running back Kendre Miller. The Ravens hosted TCU wide receiver Quentin Johnston, Penn State corner Joey Porter Jr., and plan to host Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson in a little bit. The Bears, they hosted Texas Tech edge rusher Tyree Wilson, Tennessee offensive tackle Darnell Wright. The Texans also hosting Texas Tech edge rusher Tyree Wilson. The Bucks, they hosted Texas running back Rashawn Johnson. Saints hosted TCU running back Kendre Miller. The Raiders hosting a whole host of players. Hosting a whole host. That's a weird statement, but I digress. The Raiders looking at Alabama quarterback Bryce Young, Penn State corner Joey Porter Jr., and they will host Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. The Eagles, they hosted a couple Big Ten guys, Northwestern offensive lineman Peter Skoronski and Penn State corner Joey Porter Jr. Patriots hosting a couple of Bulldogs, Georgia edge rusher Nolan Smith and offensive tackle Broderick Jones. The Packers, they hosted Tennessee offensive tackle Darnell Wright, as did the Buffalo Bills. The Colts doing their quarterback diligence here, hosting Kentucky quarterback Will Levis and Florida quarterback Anthony Richardson. And then 3 other teams are going to host Anthony Richardson. That is the Panthers, Titans, and Falcons. So, yeah, Titans, Falcons, interesting situations for Anthony Richardson. Also, the Ravens, another one there, and of course the Raiders. But yeah, no one knows where he's going to go. It doesn't sound like he's going to be one of the top 2. So him and Will Levis are kind of in a wait and see mode in the early portion of the draft there. After 2. The Titans, they today signed their star defensive tackle, Jeffrey Simmons, to a 4-year extension. Don't have the numbers on that quite just yet. I'm sure it's big, as he is one of the most disruptive defensive tackles in the NFL. So we'll wait to see what those numbers are for Tuesday, probably. The Bills, they re-signed defensive tackle Jordan Phillips on a 1-year deal. Made sense. Had a pretty good season in Buffalo, is familiar with the system. So re-upping there for 1 more year is Jordan Phillips. And then for free agent signings here, the Jets, they signed Bears quarterback Tim Boyle to a 1-year deal. And I think he also played for one other team, that being the Green Bay Packers once upon a time. And who played with him? Of course, number 12, Aaron Rodgers. So maybe reunited once again in New York if they can ever work a trade out for number 12. The Bucks, they signed Seahawks safety Ryan Neal to a 1-year deal. Neal just becoming a free agent last week, I believe it was, after the Seahawks rescinded his restricted free agent tender. So good pickup by Jason Light and the Buccaneers there. The Bears, they signed Texans defensive end Rasheem Green to a 1-year deal. Good situational pass rusher, can provide depth on third down there. So nice pickup by Ryan Poles. And then the Panthers, they signed Dolphins defensive back Eric Rowe. Has played corner, safety, slot corner, can do it all really. I think he's really settled into more of a safety role, though, at this point in his career. So I'm excited about that. Signing with Carolina should add experience and leadership to the secondary. How about the XFL pick standings? Yeah, Mark got us last week. 3-1 for Mark. He lone wolfed the Vegas Vipers against the San Antonio Brahmas, and he lone wolfed the St. Louis Battlehawks against the Houston Roughnecks. So that was a tough weekend to look at. Definitely the worst weekend Logan has had. I think that's tied for the worst weekend I had. But yeah, I am now 3 games back of Mark, 1 game back still of Logan, and Logan is now fighting uphill at 2-game deficit to Mark. So let's get into the games this weekend. Starting tomorrow, we have a doubleheader each day here on Easter weekend, 2 tomorrow, 2 on Sunday. The Vegas Vipers at the St. Louis Battlehawks. I forgot to get Logan's pick, so we'll see if he is up to pick live here through the phone, anyways. But Mark and I, we are on the same page this week on all 4 of the games. We are going the St. Louis Battlehawks. Yes, Jalen McClendon looked very good last week. But at the same time, I cannot go against A.J. McCarron. This St. Louis team at home is a different animal. And the Dome is going to be rocking once again. And I think the Vegas defense is going to give up some points to St. Louis. Vegas gives up the 2nd most points per game in the XFL. So I think I'm going to lean towards that Battlehawks offense, and maybe it's a shootout in the Dome like it used to be in the old days with the Greatest Show on Turf, Kurt Warner and co. But yeah, give me the Battlehawks and AJ McCarron. The total for this one, 46.5. I was thinking about going with the over, and I guess I'll just stick with that because I don't really like the spread. 7's a lot of points with a Vegas team that is trying. They're eliminated, so they have no reason to not play spoiler. So I think 7 is a tough one, but over 46.5, why not? It's the 2nd highest total of the weekend. And I can see it going over with that Vegas defense there. 1 p.m. ESPN and ESPN Plus. The second game tomorrow, the Arlington Renegades. I keep wanting to say the Dallas Renegades as they were in 2020. Arlington Renegades here in 2023 at the Orlando Guardians. Guardians coming off their first win last week. Unfortunately, it came against my DC Defenders. But Quentin Dormady and the Orlando Guardians have found something on offense. It's the issue of can they get anything on defense. I don't know if they can. I don't even know who's starting at quarterback for Arlington because they have been just a mix and match. Louis Perez, I would think, is going to start this game. Drew Plitt started last week after they released Kyle Sloter. They also signed Kelly Bryant. So I have no clue who's going to start. Give me the Guardians, though. They're the more sure team, which is crazy to say at 1-6 now. Their defense still not great, but their offense has found its stride, and I think they're going to win in this one against an average Renegades defense. Not a pushover, but not elite either. Total is 42. Have to go with the over, I think, based off what the Guardians have been putting up on offense last couple of weeks with Dormady at quarterback. 4 p.m. ESPN and ESPN Plus. And happy Easter. This is your Easter present here. We get 2 XFL games, 2 good ones. That is not the San Antonio Brahmas logo. That is my bad. I forgot to change that there. But the Houston Roughnecks at the San Antonio Brahmas. Mark and I are on Houston. This is just a crapshoot. Kurt Bankert is out. He is on the the reserve list. 3 fractured ribs, not a good sign. Believe Jawan Pass will get the start in this game. And I could be wrong. Maybe it was San Antonio that signed Kelly Bryant instead of Arlington, which might be the case. But I still believe Cole McDonald can get it done. Their offense was not very good last week with him at the helm. No, Kelly Bryant is with the Arlington Renegades. I was right the first time. I shouldn't have tried to self-correct myself. But anyways, yeah, so Cole McDonald was not very good against Seattle last week, or against St. Louis last week, But I think he can do it. The hope is that Brandon Silvers is back for this game. Not sure how long he was going to be out. I believe he had a forearm injury or a strained lat in his right arm. So not sure what the situation is at quarterback for either side, really. Again, I believe Jawan Pass is going to start. But on the other hand, I have no clue. So I'm going with the Houston defense in this game. San Antonio is actually better on defense in terms of points allowed per game, but Houston causes a lot more turnovers. I think that's what will win them this game, and it'll be low scoring. I am rolling with the under 41 because I'm just not sure of how the offenses is going to run with some subpar quarterbacks in the game. So under 41 for me here. This one is 3 p.m. ABC and ESPN Plus on Easter afternoon. Easter night, we have a matinee matchup. The DC Defenders are in Seattle to play the Sea Dragons. What a matchup. Like I mentioned, 6-1, 5-2. It doesn't get much better than this. DC, you win. And pretty much you are in the playoffs. You're locked in. 5-2 Seattle, 5-2 St. Louis, nipping at the heels now with a loss. So could be a 3-way tie for 6-2 if Seattle gets this one done. Of course, I am going with my Defenders to bounce back. They beat Seattle once. They can beat them again. I wholly believe in this offense. The defense took a big step back last week, allowing 37 points to the Guardians. But I think the defense will be better. Greg Williams is a veteran coach, probably the best defensive coordinator in the XFL. I think he will do a great job of getting them situationally into the right spots, make the plays you need to make, go out on offense, score a lot of points like you've been doing. And Jordan Ta'amu throwing the ball has been spectacular the last 2 or 3 games. So continue to do that. Run the ball with Abram Smith like you have been. And I think that's a good situation and a good scenario that will lead to DC winning this game as the 2-point underdog. Mark is with me on that one. Total is 47.5, highest of the weekend. And I am not sure. I want to say over, but this a tough one because I could see it going over easily, and probably that's going to be the pick. 7 p.m. ESPN2 and ESPN Plus. Now let's get to the AFC South mock draft. Here we are. These are the 4 teams in the division. Texans, number 2 overall selection, number 12 in the Deshaun Watson trade from Cleveland, 33rd in the second, 65th in the third, and 73rd in the third as well. Also a pick from the Deshaun Watson trade. Colts, they have the number 4 pick in the first, number 35 in the second, number 79 in the third. That is from the Commanders in the Carson Wentz trade. And then the Titans and Jaguars, they both had their own selections. Titans 11th, 41st, and 72nd. The Jags 24th, 56th, and 88th. So let's get to our Pro Football Focus mock draft simulator here and make some picks. Hopefully their grading system has been fixed. We don't want to have a non-grade like we did last week or on Tuesday. So hopefully we get it, we figure it out and it's changed on here. So we're not trading. We're sticking at 2. The Panthers, they go with Bryce Young. So that's perfectly fine. You know, I think CJ Stroud, as much as I don't want him for the Panthers, I think, you know, the Texans are okay with either quarterback. That's why they didn't trade up 1 selection to number 1. You know, I think CJ Stroud had a masterful game against Georgia in his last college game. Should do well in terms of the fundamental traits that he has, the leadership, the accuracy, and the height, which is a big debate tool right now. But I think as much as I don't think Ohio State's offense translates to the NFL, DeMeco Ryans is a good coach, and I think hopefully he can figure it out and get Stroud NFL ready. So CJ Stroud to the Texans at 2. The Cardinals, they take Devon Witherspoon at 3. So that's where the uncertainty, that's where the randomness bar comes in there. So wow. Colts at 4. We are taking a quarterback again. It is down to Will Levis and Anthony Richardson. Now look, I think this pick is going to be Will Levis. I really do. Anthony Richardson, fantastic prospect, heights, weight, speed, 4.4 40. He's massive. He is the type of running quarterback I like. Bigger dude that has the muscle mass to be able to take the hits, such as guys like Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts, etc., Josh Allen. But I just, from what I watched at him in Florida, the games I watched, it was not good. The accuracy is not there. And with the Colts, they're not in a situation where they have a quarterback that they're comfortable playing the entire season, because I think that's what has to happen. Whoever drafts Anthony Richardson in the first round, you have to have a quarterback you are comfortable with starting all 17 games. Now, if you're losing, it will be tough to not put Richardson in there, but you have to have a coach that is willing to do that. So I think this has to be Will Levis. Will Levis still has his issues as well, including accuracy and turnovers. But I think he's more ready. The Kentucky offense is a pro-style attack. And so while he might not start week 1, which I do think Gardner Minshew will start in Indy for the Colts week 1, I think Will Levis will get acclimated and be ready to start maybe after the first month or maybe around mid-season. So Will Levis going to Indy here. Seattle picks Will Anderson Jr. At 5, Tyree Wilson to the Lions. Raiders go Lucas Van Ness. Falcons, Anthony Richardson. Wow. Desmond Ridder available now, maybe. Peter Skoronski to the Bears. Christian Gonzalez for the Eagles. So we're on the clock with the Titans, and wow. I mean, you have to think about it, right? Jalen Carter is sitting there. They just signed Jeffrey Simmons to a long-term extension. I don't think that's where they need the most help. I think receiver is probably where they're going to go with this pick. They do need pass rush, but there's just not one available. Edge, they need edge pass rush, not interior. So I think the Titans will stick here, and they're going to take Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think they need a second receiver to help Ryan Tannehill in the passing game, or Malik Willis, or if they draft the quarterback, whatever. But JSN, I think, despite the injury last year, 1,600 yards the previous year, was really good at the combine, and I think he has to be the pick here. Get a possession receiver to help the big body of Treylon Burks on the outside. So this leads the Texans at 12, and they're like, wow, like Jalen Carter is available? Are you kidding me? So luckily for them, they are inside the top 10 at number 2. So they had a visit with Jalen Carter. Otherwise, no one else really would have had that visit. So I think they'll be comfortable at 12. The value is outstanding. PFF has them ranked at number 2. ADP is at 5.8 currently. So this is fantastic value for Houston. D'Amico Ryans is going to love putting Jalen Carter in the middle of that defense as the cornerstone of his D-line. Jets at 13, they go Darnell Wright. That's a home run. Patriots, Quentin Johnson. I think that's a good fit. Packers go Brian Branch. Logan, I know, loves that one. Paris Johnson Jr. for the Commanders. Steelers go Nolan Smith. I don't know how I feel about that. Joey Porter Jr. to the Lions. Deontay Banks for the Bucks. Brian Breesty for the Seahawks. Chargers taking Miles Murphy. Ravens with Anton Harrison. The Vikings with Broderick Jones. And the Jaguars are on the clock. Now, this is where I would have loved to see Darnell Wright fall, because the Jags do sorely need a right tackle. DeJuan Jones is more of a left tackle. I don't think he's played. No, actually, he's only played right tackle. Never mind. So he could be an option here. He's ranked 31, ADP of 36, so we could trade back, or we could get the long-term answer at tight end for Trevor Lawrence here and go Dalton Kincaid. Dalton Kincaid, fantastic season last year. Missed a little bit, a couple games here and there, but overall, very good. 890 yards, 8 touchdowns each season the last 2 years. Fantastic route running, speed as well. So I think Dalton Kincaid is your guy here for Jacksonville. Evan Ingram re-signed on a 1-year deal. This gets, like I said, their long-term tight end option. Giants, they go with Zay Flowers. That's a popular mock draft pick. Cowboys, Kalijah Cansey. Bills go with Michael Mayer. That's fantastic. Jordan Addison to the Bengals. Man, they're just loading up. Mozzie Smith for the Saints. Josh Downs for the Eagles. That's interesting. No top 30 visits for Downs. Teams like him. So BJ Ojulari to the Chiefs. Emmanuel Forbes for the Steelers. Love that in the top of the second. And we're back on the clock with the Texans. And wow, what a pick you could do here. But they have Dameon Pierce. So I'm not going to do it. Real quick, we have the numbers on Jeffrey Simmons' contract extension with the Titans. It is 4 years, $94 million, $23.5 million per year, a massive contract for the Pro Bowler there. So Titans, large investment inside on Jeffrey Simmons. Back to the Texans here. Let's get the Texans some help off the edge. I believe they were second to last in sacks last year, only to Atlanta. So we have a guy sitting here right at the top. Will McDonald, I think, is a great edge rusher, has speed to power. A lot of needs to add to his repertoire a little bit, but can play both the run and the pass, and I think should be a good option here for D'Amico Ryans and his defense. I think he fits well in, like you see right there, 3-4 outside linebacker, which is what D'Amico runs, I believe. Wide 9 defensive end regardless. So he can play either stand up or 3-point stance. I think Will McDonald to Houston makes a lot of sense at the top of the second. Cardinals in between our Texans and Colts picks. They go Tuli Pelotu. We're on the clock with the Colts. And again, Bijan, we have Jonathan Taylor. So unfortunately, it doesn't really make sense. We got Will Levis. And how about the tackle? DeJuan Jones is sitting there. What does Indianapolis's depth chart look like currently at tackle? I would be interested to see, because their offensive line has really slipped up the last couple of years. Quentin Nelson is still fantastic. Ryan Kelly is still there. But at the tackle position, you know, you're rolling out Braden Smith, who's been really good. Bernard Ryman, they just drafted last year. So I guess the tackles aren't the problem. It's the one guard spot. Maybe the tackle is the issue, but who knows? So maybe we flip on DeJuan Jones and not go there. In terms of edge rush, you know, they signed Samson Abukum. They have Kwity Paye and Tyquan Lewis as well. So I think they're all right there. Linebacker, I don't think they're going to go there. I don't think they're going to spend a day 2 pick. That's not a position of value right now anyways. Corner, I think they could use a corner here. So Kenny Moore, of course, is their starter. They have Isaiah Rodgers, Dallas Flowers, a lot of younger guys. Why not add another guy here? Cam Smith would be fantastic, or we can go Osiris Torrance. This is a tough decision. So let's look at the grades here. Cam Smith, not very good last year, but he does have some interceptions and 6 defensive touchdowns in his career. Osiris Torrance should grade off the charts, yes. So I'm going to go with the protection. I'm going to go all in on the quarterback. Let's protect him, get a starter at right guard in place of Will Fries. And, you know, I think that's a great pick for Indianapolis here. Rams going Steve Avila. So luckily we got our guard for Indy. Jahmyr Gibbs to the Seahawks. That's interesting. Bijan Robinson to the Raiders. Wow. Drew Sanders to the Panthers. I love that one. DeJuan Jones to the Saints. So that crushes it, man. The Titans really needed some offensive line help. You know, they signed Andre Dillard, but they needed some help on the right side, maybe. I can't remember who their right tackle is. But let's see what else the Titans potentially need. They have their tight end possibly of the future. Chigo Okonkwo is the starter there after they released Austin Hooper. We got them a wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba, so that fills a big need. Right tackle is Nicholas Petit-Frere right now. I think that's fine. Defensively, what we have an edge rusher, which is what we need, right? Felix Anudike-Uzomah, I think, should fit nicely with Harold Landry on the other side. They signed Arden Key this offseason as well. Rashad Weaver is there. So I think that has to be the selection. Felix Anudike-Uzomah to the Titans should fit well in that defense. Every down edge roll makes sense. So let's go FAU there to TEN. Jets going Cam Smith. Luke Musgrave to the Jets as well. Cody Mock for the Falcons. Adetomiwa Adebawore for the Packers. John Michael Schmitz for the Patriots. Keanu Benton for the Commanders. Matthews Bergeron for the Lions. Sam Laporta to the Steelers. I don't like that. Joe Tippmann for the Bucks. Dolphins going Antonio Johnson. The Seahawks, Isaiah Foskey, like that selection. And then Julius Brents for the Bears. Keely Ringo for the Chargers. And the Lions taking Jack Campbell. Fantastic selection for Detroit there. So Jags back on the clock. They picked Dalton Kincaid in the first round. Second round, do we have a tackle? No, we do not. Man, that's tough. I don't think Jalen Duncan is the next one. So let's pray that our next pick we can get the offensive tackle there. But what else do we need? We need a center. So Luke Whippler is sitting right here. I think that would be a pretty solid selection out of Ohio State. Has started for a couple of seasons there in Columbus. Right now they have a second-year guy, Luke Fortner, who they drafted last year. Could use a new left guard, and of course Walker Little at right tackle is not really what they want necessarily. Defensively, I don't think edge rush is really a big need. DB is probably the biggest need here. So Tyreek Stevenson there would be a nice selection. They signed Darius Williams. They have Trey Herndon in the nickel, Tyson Campbell, and Tavon Campbell as well. So I think Tyreek Stevenson, the wide receiver, I don't really see as a big issue. Calvin Ridley coming back from suspension. They have Zay Jones, Christian Kirk, and Jamal Agnew as well. So they could get someone later to supplement that position. I think Tyreek Stevenson, though, here for the Jags makes a lot more sense. And outside corner, that's fantastic. That's where they need him to play. So give me Tyreek Stevenson. Giants, they go Deion Henley. They need that. Linebacker help off ball. Devin Achane supplementing Tony Pollard there in Dallas. Trenton Simpson for the Bills. Darnell Washington to the Bengals. That's good. Tank Dell to the Bears. Cedric Tillman for the Eagles. I like that. Chiefs going Jalen Hyatt. There's no way he is there in the real draft. DJ Turner for the Bears. Texans back on the clock here. So we got the quarterback, CJ Stroud. We got the edge rusher, Will McDonald, in the second. What else do we need for Houston? Wide receiver, right? We need some help at someone to catch the ball for our rookie quarterback. Oh, we also got Jalen Carter in the first round, by the way. So I think if we see a wide receiver, and there is none until Michael Wilson, which I don't really like picking right here at this point. What do we think about Rashee Rice is here? They also have some other guys that we might wait. We could probably wait on a receiver till 73. I think that's what we'll do at this point. Otherwise, for the Texans, center, Center could be I think center. Luke Whippler, I think, would be a nice selection here. Unless we want to go back-to-back edge rushers and select Andre Carter, could be an option as well. The safety position with Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie, I think, is fantastic combo. And they do need corner help. But I think center is a bigger issue. Let's go get Luke Whippler for CJ Stroud and get him some more protection up front. The Cardinals, they take Keon White. Broncos back-to-back, they go Garrett Williams and Clark Phillips, 2 corners for Denver. That's crazy. Siaki Ika for the Rams, Tucker Kraft for the Raiders, Saints going Darius Rush. Titans back on the clock. We got the wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba in the first round. In the second for Tennessee, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. What do we think here? We could use. Do we need a safety? Amani Hooker, Kevin Byard. We could use some help, some depth at safety. Corner, could always use corners, but they've drafted Caleb Farley, Elijah Molden, Christian Fulton, Roger McCreary, and they signed Sean Murphy Bunting. So I don't think that's the thing. Unfortunately, that's like all there is right here. So why not go back-to-back edge? Need help? Let's continue to build that pass rush there. So it's between Andre Carter and Nick Herbig. Carl Brooks also there, very solid. 15 sacks in 2021, 7 last year. It's tough. 3-4 outside linebacker. That's exactly what we're looking for. I think Andre Carter would definitely be the pick here. Brooks had a fantastic production, but they're saying he is more of a 3-tech, and that is because he is 300 pounds, which totally makes sense there. Nick Herbig out of Wisconsin, off-ball linebacker, so that's not what we're looking for either. That leaves Andre Carter, the second out of Army, fantastic edge rusher, had 15 sacks in 2021. Love the guy. Struggled a little bit last year, but I think he has the traits and the size power to make it and have a successful career with Tennessee. Texans back on the clock, and now this is where we can get a wide receiver here with our last Texans pick. So who do we want? I think the Texans, what they are looking for is, so they had Brandon Cooks, right? They have Nico Collins, Noah Brown. They signed Robert Woods. They have John Mechie, who hopefully will be back this year from his cancer treatment all of last season. I think they need some speed, which Mechie would give. But how about A.T. Perry? A.T. Perry is fast, and more fast. And he could be a home run ball hitter with C.J. Stroud. I think he would love to throw that to Perry. Possession receiver for Rashee Rice. He is fast as well, but not the type of guy I'm looking for. I think AT has to be the guy here. So that is who I'm going to go with. A.T. Perry to the Houston Texans. Browns going Blake Freeland. Zach Charbonnet for the Falcons. Patriots going Travius Hodges-Tomlinson. Rams, Jalen Jones. Packers, Isaiah McGuire. And we are back on the clock with the Colts. Got one more pick with the Jags left. But Indy, we got Will Levis. We got him some protection in the second round with Osiris Torrance. And now, we're looking here and we got some edge rushers available. We got a safety in Sydney Brown, which, they got some good safeties there in Indy. Corner, that is where I think I want to go. So Eli Ricks is sitting here. Is he the kind of guy we want? Press corner, I think that is what I can't recall who Shane Steichen brought in as his defensive coordinator. But, I think Eli Ricks has got to be the guy here. There's no other corners available. Sydney Brown should be a versatile safety, so more of a strong safety in the box, I think. And Jamie Robinson, they have him as a too high safety. So, yeah, I think it's got to be Eli Ricks. Colts need some help in the secondary after trading Stephon Gilmore. So give me Eli Ricks for Indianapolis. Steelers going Hendon Hooker. Why? That one makes no sense. Zach Pickens for the Lions. Jordan Battle for the Bucks. Derek Hall to the Seahawks. Dolphins taking Tajay Spears. Tyler Steen for the Chargers. Tanner McKee for the Ravens. Makes no sense schematically anyways. Kayshon Boutte for the Vikings. And we are back on the clock with the Jags. Just to update you on Logan's XFL picks, he is rolling the Battlehawks. So he is with us on that one. Renegades, he is against us on that, against Orlando. He is lone wolfing Arlington, and then he is with us on the Houston Roughnecks and the DC Defenders there. Odd Easter. So the Jags here, the Jags, we got them Dalton Kincaid in the first round, nice tight end, long-term replacement for Evan Ingram. And then Tyreek Stevenson in the second, corner help for Jacksonville. So let's go. What do we want to go here with the Jags now? Edge rush could be something they could look for, but they do have three solid ones. Safety, Rayshon Jenkins, Andre Sisco, Daniel Thomas, Andrew Wingard, Tyree Gillespie as well. So how about running back? They need help at running back. Behind Travis Etienne. So let's get them a second running back here. Dwayne McBride, I think, could be a nice option here. 2 down back, that's fantastic. That's exactly what we're looking for. Tank Bigsby, I think, is more of an all-around guy. Bell cow, yeah. So I think more along the lines Dwayne McBride, or Jalen Duncan. Jalen Duncan, that's the guy I've been looking for. He strictly played left tackle at Maryland, but I do think he could slide over to right, because they do still have Cam Robinson at left. Let's go with Jalen Duncan here at 88. I think that's a solid selection for Jacksonville and finishing their 3-round mock off. Giants going at Sydney Brown, Marvin Mims to the Cowboys, Bills taking Rashee Rice, Bengals going Tank Bigsby, Panthers with Michael Wilson, Eagles going Moro Ojimo, Chiefs selecting Jerron Dexter, KJ Henry to the Cardinals, Commanders going Jartavius Martin, Browns drafting Luke Schoonmaker, Niners with 3 of the last 4 picks, Nick Herbig, Raiders going Kendre Miller, and then the Niners last 2 picks here, Trey Palmer, and someone I don't know because we can't see the full results. We can't see the last pick until we look at the full results here. So Dorian Williams out of Tulane going last. And of course, PFF is still screwed up, so cannot tell what our grades are, which is always fantastic when you pay for a service and you don't get what you expect. So anyways, the Texans, I think we did pretty good for most of the 4 teams here. CJ Stroud, Jalen Carter at 12, Will McDonald at 33, Luke Whippler at 65, and then A.T. Perry at 73. Pretty solid there. Colts taking Will Levis, getting him some protection with Osiris Torrance in the second. And then in the third, getting the defense some help with Eli Ricks. Titans, we got Ryan Tannehill, a wide receiver, Jackson Smith and Jigba. In the second round, we went Felix Anudike-Uzomah. Too bad in the third round we didn't take a guy with a hyphenated name. It's just generally Andre Carter II. So I think that is also a very good draft for Tennessee, needing some help with the pass rush and the passing game. And then finally, the Jacksonville Jaguars, Dalton Kincaid. I didn't really like their draft as much, but Kincaid, Tyreek Stevenson in the second, and then Jalen Duncan from Maryland, the tackle there. Again, I think the Jags had the worst out of the 4 teams that we did, but all in all, I think it's decent grades. I think the Texans probably the biggest winners with the Stroud and Carter selections. And then the Titans, I would actually think the Titans are second because of the 2 pass rushers that they got, as well as JSN in the first. So my rankings go Texans, Titans, Colts, Jags in this mock draft. And that is the show for today. Next week, we'll be back. XFL Week 9. We're getting closer to the playoffs. There can be some clinches coming up in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully the DC Defenders can get a win and clinch relatively soon here. But of course, we'll have all the XFL game previews, NCAA and NFL news. Don't forget to follow us on all our social media at FAA Podcast on Instagram and Twitter. FAA_bets is our betting account on Twitter. And then FAApodcast.com is our website. You can check us out here on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and iHeartRadio. Thank you all for watching. Have a happy Easter. Go DC Defenders. And we will see y'all back on Tuesday.